very good morning and a warm welcome to the breakfast news here on Sabha TV. Glad you could join us this Saturday morning. Let's get you the headlines. GST Council finalizes the tax rates for services, healthcare and education are exempted. Goods and services will attract 4 tax slabs under GST. Election Commission to announce schedule for its EVM hack challenge. Parliamentary panel had on Friday asked the EC to explain how reliable the EVMs are. Weather woes across the country. Rishikesh-Badrinath highway is closed after landslide. Nearly 1,500 people are stranded, while heatwave continues in several states. 167 sunstroke deaths are reported in Telangana since April. Sweden drops rape probe against Julian Assange and he calls it an important victory. But the British police say that they will arrest him if he leaves the Ecuadorian embassy in London. Counting underway after vote in presidential elections in Iran. It's a tight race between incumbent President Hassan Rouhani and hardline challenger Ibrahim Raisi. Let's start with the top national story. The GST Council has finalized tax rates for services under the goods and service tax regime that will kick off from the 1st of July. Healthcare and education are exempted, while services will be governed by 4 rates: 5, 12, 18 and 28%, similar to the tax slabs for goods. The tax rate on gold has not been finalized so far. The Council will meet again on the 3rd of June.
The GST Council on Friday finalized tax rates for services under the goods and services tax regime. On the second day of the meet, the Council, headed by Finance Minister Arun Jaitley, broadly agreed on 4 tax brackets for services but did not decide on a tax slab for gold. Healthcare and education sector have also been exempted from the new tax regime.
One of the principal items will be that healthcare and education as a class will continue to be exempted. All other services have been fitted into 4 different rates. The 4 different rates are 5%, 12%, the standard rate of 18%, and the luxury rate of 28%.
The Finance Minister said various categorizations under GST were made depending on the nature of service, adding that most of the services will be taxed at 18%. Jaitley also said there will be no new addition of services in the exempted list under GST.
The list of all the services will be put up on the website. They'll be available to you. Most of the work relating to the rollout has been completed. Only a few things remain. That is in the goods category, those 6 categories which had still to be decided.
Under the new tax regime, cars, buses, trucks and motorcycles, including personal aircraft and luxury yachts, will attract a peak GST of 28%. Transport services will be taxed at 5%, including the economy class air travel. However, 12% tax will be levied for business class. Restaurants with turnover of 50 lakh rupees or below will face 5% tax, while non-AC restaurants will have a 12% rate. But AC restaurants and those with liquor license will charge 18% GST and 5-star hotels will levy 28% tax. Telecom and financial services will attract a GST of 18%, while race clubs, betting and cinema halls will attract 28% tax. The GST regime will come into effect from July 1st. The Council has postponed the decision on the tax rates for gold, BDs and cigarettes till its next meeting on June 3rd. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
The Election Commission is likely to announce its schedule for the challenge to hack its EVMs today. On Friday, the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Law and Justice had asked the EC to remove all suspicions from people's minds regarding the reliability of EVMs during polls. The EC will now give a chance to parties or individuals to prove that EVMs can be tampered with. Earlier on the 12th of May, political parties had also suggested Election Commission to come out clean on the issue of EVMs.
The Parliamentary Standing Committee on Law and Justice met on Friday to consider the reliability of the electronic voting machines in the wake of the charges against them after the recently held elections. Headed by Rajya Sabha member and Congress leader Anand Sharma, the committee called officials of Election Commission to explain how the machines were tamper-proof in an age when most computers are vulnerable to hacking.
You see, the committee proceedings are never disclosed. Election Commission has made a detailed presentation. And it's an ongoing exercise. We cannot say anything beyond.
Standing committee members pointed out the urgent need to remove all doubts from the voters' mind about the EVMs. In their presentation, the Election Commission officials maintained that the machines were not only secure but also tamper-proof.
Discussed with the government and with the Election Commission, it's an ongoing exercise. Electoral reforms deals with comprehensive matters, not only the conduct or a machine. It deals with multiple issues, including election funding.
The Standing Committee members clearly told the Election Commission to demonstrate the reliability of the EVMs wherever feasible. Accordingly, the Election Commission resolved to hold trials for the media to demonstrate the working of the machines. The Standing Committee also asked poll officials about state funding migrant voters' rights and issues related to percentage of votes and election results. It is likely to hold the next hearing with other stakeholders, including ordinary voters and NGOs working on elections.
EVM issue is quite important, and it is related to people's faith on electoral system and also on the democracy in India. That is why a standing committee is seriously talking to all stakeholders. It will be interesting to see that how it comes up. Akhilesh Soman for Rajya Television with camera person Sudipto in Delhi.
In other news, former Coal Secretary HC Gupta has been convicted in a coal scam case by a special court. The court also convicted then Joint Secretary and Director, besides others in the case pertaining to the alleged irregularities in allocation of the Tezkora B. Rudrapuri coal block in Madhya Pradesh to the KSSPL. The court will decide the quantum of sentence on the 22nd of this month. The court had framed charges against the accused in October last year, observing that former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh was kept in the dark by Gupta. At least 8 different charge sheets have been filed against him and proceedings are underway individually. Home Minister Rajnath Singh met Sikkim Chief Minister Pawan Kumar Chamling and Governor Srinivas Patil on Friday and discussed with them various issues concerning the state. Singh will chair a meeting with Chief Ministers of 5 Himalayan states to review issues pertaining to the Indo-China border security today. The Home Minister is expected to discuss border infrastructure work, development of roads, as well as coordination issues between the states and the Indo-Tibetan Border Police. The meeting will be attended by Chief Ministers of Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Sikkim and Arunachal Pradesh. The Home Ministry had said that the objective of the meeting is to strengthen coordination with these 5 states to improve overall border security. Rajnath Singh will also be visiting Nathula Pass and the ITBP border post at Lachung to meet troopers deputed on the India-China border. His visit comes days after India refused to participate in China's One Belt, One Road conference in Beijing, and also a month after the diplomatic tussle with China over the Dalai Lama's visit to Arunachal Pradesh. Meanwhile, in Kashmir, the National Investigation Agency has booked hardline separatist leaders for seditious activities in Srinagar. A team of NI officials arrived in Srinagar on Friday to quiz the leaders over their involvement in subversive activities in the state and receiving funds from Pakistan-based terror organizations.
The National Investigation Agency has registered a preliminary inquiry against hardline Kashmiri separatist leader Syed Ali Shah Gilani for alleged involvement in seditious activities and receiving funds from terrorist organization Lashkar-e-Toiba. NIA also booked other separatist leaders, including Naeem Khan, who recently confessed to receiving money from Pakistan-based terror groups in a TV sting operation.
Primary concern today is to make sure that in every part of the state there is normalcy which is maintained. And we are presently concentrating on that prime objective.
Separatist groups and those who are actually giving financial assistance to disturb peace in Jammu and Kashmir region, they're all funded by Pakistan. There has also been a lot of evidence available in public domain. Recently, many media organizations also have brought out the manner in which the separatist groups have been fueling trouble, burning schools, and creating disturbances like stone pelting for a price.
On the second day of his two-day visit to Kashmir, Defence Minister Arun Jaitley expressed satisfaction over the Indian Army's aggressive domination and readiness along the line of control in giving a befitting response to any misadventure by Pakistan. The Defence Minister reviewed the security situation with General Officer Commanding of the Baramulla-based division, Major General R.P. Kalita, and held meetings with senior army commanders. Jaitley also interacted with Jawans and officers and praised their determination and selfless service to the nation.
An army is in a fully state of readiness to check any form of infiltration. Under no cost will India's territorial sovereignty be allowed to be infringed. And I visited them in order to show the solidarity of the whole nation with them. They live in difficult conditions and are as I said, in a full state of readiness.
Arun Jaitley's visit comes weeks after the Pakistani army beheaded 2 Indian security personnel in Poonch district, an act that was termed barbaric by India. In the breach of truce in the last 10 days, more than 12,000 persons in 64 villages along the LOC have been affected. 3 civilians have died and 6 others have been injured. According to PTI, Pakistan has violated ceasefire 67 times in the first 4 months of this year, with a maximum of 26 incidents reported in April. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now turning a focus to the weather, and the Rishikesh-Badrinath National Highway was today closed near Vishnuprayag in Uttarakhand's Chamoli district due to a landslide. Following this, around 1,000 to 1,500 people have been stranded. The highway has been closed near Vishnuprayag, one of the 5 confluences of the Alaknanda River between Joshimath and Badrinath. The Border Roads Organization personnel are engaged in clearing the boulders, and the path is expected to be open for traffic by this afternoon. Chief Minister Trivendra Singh Rawat has directed authorities to monitor the situation. He also said that the situation would be brought under control and assured passengers that the Char Dham Yatra would go on smoothly.
लैंडस्लाइड हुआ हाथी पहाड़ के पास, और उसमें हमारी कोशिश ये है कल 11 से 12 बजे के बीच तक हम उसको खोल देंगे। मेरी अभी BRO के कमांडेंट से बात हुई है, तो उनका ये कहना है कि इसको हम पॉजिटिवली 12 बजे तक कल खोल देंगे। जहाँ तक यात्रियों का प्रश्न है, तो क्योंकि सूचना हमारे पास पहले से थी, तो हमने अलर्ट थे, इसलिए कोई कैजुअलिटी नहीं है।
Meanwhile, intense heat wave continued its grip on many parts of the country, with Machilipatnam in Andhra Pradesh recording a maximum of 47.3 degrees Celsius. In parts of the national capital, the mercury hovered around 42 degrees. And in Telangana, 167 people are suspected to have died due to sunstroke since April. Bhadrachalam, Ramagundam and Nalgonda are the hottest places in the state, with each recording a maximum temperature of 46 degrees Celsius. Malkangiri in Odisha was the hottest place in the state at 45.4 degrees Celsius. Sri Ganganagar and Kota were the hottest places in Rajasthan, with both recording maximum temperatures of over 45 degrees, while light rainfall occurred at isolated places. Hisar was the hottest place in Haryana with temperature of 44 degrees Celsius. Uttar Pradesh experienced hot and dry weather as well, with Allahabad and Banda both registering 44 degrees Celsius. With that, let's take you through what else is making news across the country in Nationwide. The State Goods and Services Tax Bill and Value Added Tax Amendment Bill 2017 has been passed in the 2-day special session of the Odisha Assembly. Earlier, Congress members protested, demanding that the Odisha GST bill be sent to a select committee, but it was later passed by a voice vote. BJP President Amit Shah will be on a 2-day visit to Chandigarh from today as part of his countrywide 95-day tour, which began from Jammu last month. He will hold organizational meetings to review the party's activities, aiming to strengthen it at the booth level with an eye on the 2019 Lok Sabha polls and to reach out to the masses with the Prime Minister's pro-poor schemes. The Supreme Court has refused to accept to hear a plea of the Calcutta High Court Judge, Justice C.S. Karnan, for recall of a 6-month jail term for contempt of court. The petition was held as not maintainable by the Apex Court Registry. Karnan, through his lawyers, had moved the Apex Court seeking recall of the 9th May order and has not yet been arrested. With a quick break here, we'll be back with the top international stories in a bit. Stay with us.
Hello and welcome. I'm Amritan Rai. You're watching Constitutionally Yours.
Every 5 years, people get an opportunity to choose a new idea.
It is the State Assembly which is to decide how the fund is to be utilized.
Government of India should revisit the areas where the people are lagging behind.
2 criteria are taken into consideration. First, on the economic structure.
Central government is always expected to have acted with equal dimension.
Watch Constitutionally Yours on Rajya Sabha television.
Ghata, one of the oldest and most unique percussion instruments of southern India. You can play it not only with your fingers, but palms, wrists and heels as well. You'll be surprised, but the air inside the ghatam reverberates, creating the musical notes. 5 elements of nature: earth, water, air, fire and space make up the composition of this beautiful musical piece, which has found an apt place in most of the ancient books.
Welcome back. Let's continue getting you the latest on Kulbhushan Jadhav's case. Pakistan has filed a plea in the International Court of Justice to rehear the alleged Indian spy's case within 6 weeks. This came a day after the ICJ stayed the death sentence awarded to the international. Pakistan is planning to change its team of lawyers after the current team was widely criticized for the developments at The Hague. On Thursday, Islamabad faced huge embarrassment after the ICJ stayed Jadhav's execution by Pakistan till its final decision on India's petition to annul his death sentence. Kulbhushan Jadhav's well-being still remains a matter of concern, though, as Pakistan has provided no information yet about his location or health condition. Jadhav was sentenced to death by Pakistani military court on charges of espionage last year. India moved the ICJ against the death penalty, alleging violation of the Vienna Convention on Consular Relations. Meanwhile, in a huge relief for WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange, Sweden has dropped an investigation into allegations of rape against him. This has removed the threat of his extradition to Sweden. However, Assange said that he will not leave the Ecuadorian embassy in London without assurance that he will not face further extradition to the US, where he is to face trial over the leaks of secret American documents. Relief writ large on his face, WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange tweeted a smiling picture of himself on Friday. This was after Sweden announced that it was dropping rape investigations and revoking his arrest warrant, bringing to an end a 7-year legal standoff.
Det som har hänt idag är att överåklagare Marianne Ny har meddelat att hon lägger ner förundersökningen mot Julian Assange. Hon häver häktningen och återkallar den europeiska arresteringsordern.
The truth is that we have proved via his interview that he is innocent, and we have proved that it is true that the United States wants him.
British police, however, said that Assange would still be arrested if he left the Ecuadorian embassy in London, where he has been holed up. Prime Minister Theresa May said that it would be an operational matter for the police to decide. Asked if she would support Britain extraditing Assange to the US, May said that they look at extradition requests on a case-by-case basis.
Well, we look at extradition requests when we receive them on a case-by-case basis. And in relation to Julian Assange, any decision that is taken about UK action in relation to him, were he to leave the Ecuadorian embassy, would be a operational matter for the police.
Assange, however, said that he was prepared to talk to Britain and the US, but defended his right to remain in Ecuador's embassy in London.
So the claim by the United Kingdom that it has a right to arrest me for seeking asylum in a case where there have been no charges, which is now being dismissed, is simply untenable. My staff, my legal staff, have contacted the Kingdom authorities, and we hope to engage in a dialogue about what is the best way forward.
The Ecuadorian government called on Britain to grant Assange safe passage.
Las declaraciones de hoy de la fiscal Ni nos alegra. Celebramos el hecho de que el señor Assange esté libre de cargos. Pero no podemos dejar de expresar nuestra tristeza y nuestra indignación.
Well, we'll have to see what happens if he does. As you remember, I have no particular admiration for the Monsieur Assange or Mr. Assange or the way he's consumed a huge amount of UK taxpayers' money already in his escapades. I simply hope that we can find a way forward that doesn't involve any more police after Mr. Assange and wasting everybody's time and money on invigilating him in any embassies in London.
Police have had to stand guard at the embassy, ready to arrest Assange if he stepped off diplomatic premises. Despite Sweden lifting the threat of extradition, London police say that they can arrest him if he steps out of the embassy for skipping bail. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. Counting is underway for the crucial presidential elections in Iran. The fight is between incumbent Hassan Rouhani and his hardliner challenger Ebrahim Raisi. And history is on Rouhani's side, as no incumbent has lost the presidential post since 1981.
Counting of votes is underway for the presidential elections in Iran after a high turnout on Friday. It is an unexpectedly tight race pitting President Hassan Rouhani, who wants to normalize ties with the West, against a hardline judge, Ebrahim Raisi, who says he has already gone too far.
رأی تشریفاتی نیست، یه رأی واقعی است. باید همه کاندیداها به نتایج انتخابات خود رو کاملاً.
More than 40 million votes were cast, indicating a turnout of about 70%, roughly similar to the showing in 2013 elections when Rouhani swept into office in a landslide victory.
ما اگر بتونیم تعاملمون رو با کشورهای همسایه و همینطور کشورهای خارجی بیشتر بکنیم، یعنی رئیس جمهور ما بتونه این تعامل رو بیشتر بکنه، این اعتدال رو بیشتر بکنه، برای ما، برای ملت ما خیلی بهتر هستش، چه از نظر صادرات و چه از نظر واردات.
فقط حفظ آرامش و صلح، یعنی برای من این بیشترین اهمیتی داره. اگر این رو داشته باشیم همه چی هست.
With history on his side, Rouhani is seeking a second term. No sitting president has failed to win a second term since 1981. Rouhani is considered a moderate. He was a key architect of the 2015 nuclear deal with the US and the EU and other partners. Ebrahim Raisi, on the other hand, has cast doubts on the benefits of the nuclear deal. The election is being seen, at least in part, as a referendum on that agreement.
امروز رأی مردم قطعاً تو این زمینه، گرچه به هر حال برجام یک قراردادیه که انجام شده، هر رئیس جمهوری که بیاد حتماً به این قرار و این توافق پایبند خواهد بود، چون این یک تصمیم ملیه، یک تصمیمیه که زیر نظر رهبر معظم انقلاب گرفته شده، ولی در مجموع بالاخره رئیس جمهور میتونه در جهت پیشبرد و تسریع و تقویت این توافق گام‌های مهمی برداره.
6 candidates were approved by the Guardian Council, an influential clerical body controlled by conservatives, but 2 of them dropped out earlier this week. If no one wins more than 50% of votes cast, a runoff will be held next week. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
News from Libya now, where 141 people, mostly soldiers loyal to military strongman Khalifa Haftar, have been killed in an airbase attack. Members of the 3rd Force militia, loyal to the UN-backed Government of National Accord, allegedly attacked the base used by Haftar's self-proclaimed Libyan National Army. While the LNA claims that the victims included civilians, the GNA and the Defence Ministry said that they had not ordered any such action. It has set up a commission of inquiry and will be suspending Defence Minister Al-Mahdi Al-Barghadi along with the head of the 3rd Force until those responsible are identified. The unity government, the rival administration in eastern Libya, and their respective backers are battling for influence in Libya, which has been reeling under chaos since the fall of dictator Muammar Gaddafi in 2011. US President Donald Trump and wife Melania were welcomed at the Saudi royal court as they touched down in Riyadh on their first overseas trip since the inauguration. Trump met with leaders of the six-nation Gulf Cooperation Council and will address leaders from more than 50 Muslim countries with the message of peace and calling for a partnership with the Islamic world. President Trump is on a 9-day maiden overseas trip during which he will visit 5 countries, Saudi Arabia of course, then Israel, the Vatican, Belgium and Italy. He is expected to push for his agenda for boosting US economy, bringing peace in conflict-prone zones of the world and calling for greater security cooperation. The past 4 US presidents, when making their first trips abroad, traveled to either Canada or Mexico. Donald Trump, by contrast, is headed to Saudi Arabia to meet not only with the Saudi leadership, but other Gulf and Arab leaders as well.
In the past, the Trump we've seen abroad is the same as the Trump we've seen at home. If you've ever looked at the videos of him in Scotland or other places where he's gone for his business interests. So I expect there'll be an effort to keep him a more scripted.
And finally in sports, Friday turned out to be a disappointing day for Indians at the Archery World Cup in Shanghai as Atanu Das and Deepika Kumari lost their quarterfinal matches in the men's and women's recurve categories. Atanu Das fell prey to Steve Weiler in the quarterfinal after defeating Erdal Merikdal 6-2 in the third round and Patrick Houston 6-0 in the fourth round. In a very closely contested match, Steve held his nerve to reach the semi-finals after defeating Atanu 6-5. Steve will now be competing in the finals. In the women's draw, 5th-seeded Deepika Kumari went down 1-7 to Hayakawa Ren of Japan. Among the other players, Jyoti Venam and Divya Dayal lost their respective third-round matches in the women's category, while Chinnaraju Sridhar, Gurvinder Singh and Abhishek Verma stumbled in the men's event. India is now banking on the men's compound team to land a gold today. The Indian team, comprising Abhishek Verma, Chinnaraj Sridhar and Amanjeet Singh, will take on the Colombian team in the final. That's all we have for you on the Breakfast News. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great day.